Everything is changing, growing, and evolving, even you. From the nurse's student to the baby nurse, off the bedside nurse and into entrepreneurship, you have evolved. So now we're here at the Evolved Nurse Podcast. I'm your host, Lakeisha, and let's get right into the episode. So today we have a nurse who demonstrates the meaning of off the bedside and into entrepreneurship. While her journey to nursing wasn't easy and she was met with several obstacles along the way, her perseverance and resilience is unmatched. While holding her RN license, she has also managed to become not a lash tech, but the lash tech. Starting her business, Rich Lash, and finding something that she's passionate about helped her to start her own network for other women who want to create a business to help women feel beautiful. She is very open about the intricacies of what it took for her to get to where she is. She's done lashes for the likes of Summer Walker, Shekinah Joe, and most of all the women like you and me. A nurse, a mompreneur, a mentor. Welcome Destyni, the owner and founder of Rich Lash Tech, to the Evolved Nurse Podcast.
Thank you. I love that. I love that so
You
much.
are so welcome. So, if you've listened to the Evolve Nurse podcast, I always say my first question is, have you always wanted to be a nurse?
Yes, I have. Since I was a little girl, I always would play doctor and I always wanted to get like little doctor supplies and things like that. My sister, she has cerebral palsy and
Okay.
she's older than me. So all throughout my life, I was always accompanying her to doctor's appointments and surgeries and things of that nature. So I was always exposed to the medical field like more than usual.
Mhm.
And I just fell in love with it. I wanted to be a nurse, then I had wanted to be a nurse anesthetist. And now I'm an aesthetic nurse. So yeah, I just always wanted to be a nurse. I even have it tatted on me, like a stethoscope on my wrist.
So, with that being said, what did your journey to nursing look like? So, you said you always wanted to be a nurse, so there was no question about that when you came out of high school, correct?
Correct. Yep. I was already like when I was in high school, I got pregnant with my son my senior year,
Mhm.
and I still wanted to go to college because I wanted to be a nurse. And at that point, I realized I needed to be a nurse even more.
Mhm.
So I enrolled in a college, Southern Illinois University in Edwardsville, and I took my baby with me. Well, I had him on campus actually during my first semester. He was born, and we lived in family housing there. And I had took all my prerequisites for nursing, but my GPA was like a 3.1 and the cutoff was like 3.3. So I did not get accepted into their nursing program. So, of course, I was discouraged,
Mhm.
but I didn't let that stop me. I went back to home and then I found about another school. And I always wanted to move to Atlanta too. So I'm originally from Chicago. I always
Okay.
wanted I always wanted to move to Atlanta. Being 18, I got this baby, I'm in a relationship. I don't want to be at home with my mom, because I'm adulting or whatever,
You
playing
want to do
house.
what you want to do.
Right. And she's like, "Ain't you're not playing house in my house." So I started looking at places in Atlanta and then I looked to see if the school was also in Atlanta and sure enough it was. So I transferred out here to Atlanta and I started going to nursing school in Atlanta.
Okay. So I know momming and going to nursing school is hard. I didn't have to do it, but I have so many friends that did. And I saw how I can't even say that the program was hard for them because their child is what drove them to do what they did. So while I was struggling, they were like, I got a larger journey here. This baby needs this. So I'm pushing for this child. With your experience during nursing school, would you say that you had similar obstacles to the ones that everyone else had where, they struggled with school, they struggled with testing, or would you say that you had a battery in your back and you had a mission?
So I would say I it was like a little bit of both, and that I guess that would lead into my nursing school journey. I moved to Atlanta and I enrolled in a school, and about a year into it, I had an exam, a really big exam,
Mhm.
and my babysitter canceled on me. And so I took my son to school and waiting on his dad to get there, I made a impulsive, spur of the moment, irrational decision, and I
Mhm.
left my baby in the car to take the test.
Okay, how old were you when this happened?
I was 19 at the time.
Okay, very young, very impulsive, not really able to think rational through some decisions. That kinda happens when we're that young.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so you
And
knew that
yeah.
you wanted a future, and they don't play about these tests because they will give you a 0, and so you did the
Mhm.
next best thing that you thought that you could.
Yep. And so yeah, I felt like my back was against the wall,
Mhm,
like when you're in nursing school, like you desperate. It's kind of like the military. If I've never been in the military, but
mhm,
I would think it's very militant in there. And the school did have a no children on campus policy. And I went in there, I took the test, and someone heard my baby in the car, and they came and got me out of the test. And I was arrested in front of the entire school, and I was expelled. And I was, you know, it was like a very dark time for me, like because here I am, like trying, like I'm out here. Now I'm a single mom at this time because me and my
mhm,
son's dad, we did not work out.
mhm,
So I'm a single mom at this time and I'm just trying to do my best. When I got arrested, they end up putting my mugshot all over the news.
oh,
So I was like national news, like not just in Georgia, but like everywhere, like mother
mhm,
leaves child in car to take nursing exam. And all of these people are telling me like, "Oh, you're a horrible mom. Y- you'll never be a nurse."
mhm,
And I love my baby. Like I'm so glad God kept him safe. Like because that was not smart at all. Like that was crazy. At 27 now, I would never do that.
mhm.
But then I'm just trying to do the best thing that I
You feel
can to
it's
give my
possible for
son a
y'all.
future.
Mhm,
Right. And the world is just beating me down. But I did have a battery in my pack and I had God, the armor, the full armor. And I connected with my strength. Like I got expelled, but then in a few months later, I enrolled in a new school.
mm,
I did have to start all over, like my classes and everything. About 2 year and a half later, I got accepted into their nursing program and everything dropped off of my record. 3 years later, I became a nurse. So I,
mhm,
I would say I had a battery pack, but I definitely was met with like a lot of parental like obstacles
mhm.
in nursing school.
So, when you say that, like, your story is not like I say, some people just don't have linear nursing stories where they go to school, they become a nurse, and that's all. There's no real in between. But to have to go through that and then have to battle the things that you battled online, how did you make it through that point? Like, what things did you do in order to calm your mind and make the decisions that you needed to make in order to get to where you are today?
So honestly, my biggest one would be like praying and
Mhm,
believing God because after I got expelled and all of that happened, I was new to Georgia, but I went to this church and I went to the church because I was just feeling so low. Like I had even, I was feeling like I was no good, like
mhm,
I was just not even sure if this was where I wanted to be. I had a child, but like I was at a low point. So I went to the church and I talked to the pastor and I told him what had happened. And like I don't even know what led me to do that cuz I wasn't asking him for any money or anything. I was just asking him like to help me.
For guidance.
Yeah. And he literally introduced me to the lady that works at the school that I graduated from, the
Mm,
admin. And that's how I got enrolled in their school. He was like, I have somebody I want you to talk to. And that's how I got enrolled back in school. Honestly, like praying and like trusting God and like no like believing like, okay, you didn't bring me here, for this. Like this
yeah.
is not I know this isn't what you have for me. So I'm gonna just keep pushing, keep doing what I feel that you want me to do, and just staying connected and staying plugged into that because if it was me just dwelling on what people were saying on the internet, like I don't know where I would be.
Because I saw some of the things that they were saying, and anybody else who didn't have the tenacity, resilience, and perseverance that you have, I don't know what they would have done if they would have saw all of those things about themselves. Knowing that's not who you are, but to have millions and millions of people to keep saying the same things over and over, it's easy to internalize what they feel about you.
Mhm.
So I'm so glad that you went into this and decided that I'm not going to let the naysayers keep me from providing my family what they deserve. And yes, I made a mistake, but I'm rectifying that mistake. And with God and the help of my church and the help of the people that have been put in place for me, that I'm able to get to where I need to be. Because, girl, your story is powerful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because I didn't even know, like, until today, because I was doing a little bit of research today on you, and I saw that and I was like, "I remember this story." And I'm
Wow.
like, "Hold on." I'm like, "Hold on, is this like?" Because a lot of people do, like, the TikToks where they kinda lying.
Mhm.
So they, like, post something that's, like, a shock value, and, like, you're reading it, but it's not a true news story.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I'm like, "Hold on, but I remember this."
Mhm. Yeah,
And
it's real.
like, whenever you think about nursing school, and we have to be 100% honest, nursing school is not set up for people who work, people that are low income, or people that have children.
Mhm.
So when we go into these schools and we can't afford to not work, a lot of times our grades end up slipping, or like your situation where the babysitter just canceled on you. Fortunately, I remember one girl in my class, she had a baby, and we had a test, and her babysitter canceled on her as well. And the teachers let her daughter sit in the back of class, and she had her iPad back there, but that is not likely in most situations.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
feel like there needs to be something revised where nursing school isn't only meant for young students who have no children, who have no bills.
Mhm.
So they need to implement having childcare on campus or having things in place for moms who, like you said, nursing school is militant
Mhm.
everywhere. I've never come in contact with anybody who didn't say nursing school was traumatic.
Yes.
But but
Right?
leading into your journey in nursing school, after all of that, how did you feel about being in your nursing program?
I felt empowered.
Mhm.
I was also, a little anxious during it all because, like, just like, I gotta make it. I gotta make it.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I would say, like, when I look back at nursing school, I wouldn't say, like, my program that I actually graduated from, I have good memories. Like, yeah, it was tough during nursing school, but once I went to that new school, they did have childcare on campus. Now, granted, I had all my childcare in order by that point, but they did have childcare on campus. It was a predominantly African American school. They had so many things in place, and they just wanted you to succeed as
Mhm.
well. So yeah, it was no walk in the park by all means. It was still militant, but it was tough love in there. Like you could feel the love, and that's what I remember about my program. And
And I
yeah, I
love
loved
that
it.
for you
Yeah.
because everybody doesn't have that experience. So, whenever I'm thinking about your experience in nursing school, it helps to build upon confidence and it helps to push you to be the best that you can be. A lot of other programs really dim your light, but this program in particular helped you to become who you are and to inspire others. If you don't mind saying, would you mind telling us what school that was so that for other moms who have the same issues that you had, that they'll be able to go to school and actually be able to receive childcare?
It was Atlanta Technical College.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So now you have graduated, you have gone through all the things, and you are entering into the workforce. Did you start on med surg initially?
No, so my nursing journey is it's far from basic.
Mm-hmm.
so after I got expelled and all of that, right? And like that little time I had, no, I had already enrolled in Atlanta Tech, but I wasn't in the program yet. I invested in a lash class. I took my refund check and I invested in a lash class. So during nursing school, me finishing up my prerequisites, going through the program, I was lashing. So by the time I graduated, my clientele had like really, really grown. And I had just had a newborn and I had a 5-year old at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was COVID. It was the beginning of COVID, and I had to make a decision. Was I going to go work 12-hour shifts in the hospital for, I think they were offering me like $27 an hour?
Okay.
Or was I going to go full time with my lash business and stay home with my baby, my
Mm-hmm.
both of my kids? And so I chose that one.
Okay.
So I took my NCLEX, I passed, and I kept lashing. And at this point, like my business was bringing in 5 figures a month.
Wow.
Yes. So I that's when I transitioned to like full-time mompreneur. So as far as like the traditional nursing, I have not done that.
And I love that. I love that because so often I hear stories of people who like they go directly into their specialties or they've been bullied into going into med surge. I have yet to hear anybody have a story like yours where, child, I didn't even go to a hospital, didn't work at a clinic. I started doing my entrepreneurial business straight out of nursing school.
Yes.
So do you keep your license up to date?
Yes. So I keep my license current. I have done like telehealth tracks because I'm not gonna lie, like I'm gonna keep it all the way 100. I'm like a girly girl, right? So
Mhm.
like I don't want to be like working too much on my body. And I'm not a big fan of the hospital. Like
Mhm.
I have had some traumatic losses in my life, so hospitals and all of that, like when I was going through nursing school, it wasn't a bother, but like after I graduated, like these things started to happen in my life, and like I just don't like the association of hospitals at all.
Mhm.
I love aesthetics, so I do plan to get into like the dermal fillers, like
Mm.
Botox injections and facial reconstruction and those things, but I don't have any plans on, like doing bedside or anything like that. But I will do like, some telehealth or on the computer, behind the screen. I'll do some admin nursing stuff. And yeah, I love to help, but I do want to be, comfortable when I'm helping.
No, no, no. Helping people comes in various ways. So you don't have to feel like once you become a nurse and, because you came into nursing wanting to help people due to your sister's ailment, just because nursing doesn't look the same for you, you're still helping people. Like, you're
Mhm.
still helping people feel like they're beautiful. You're still helping people improve on what they see in themselves. Like, you're still helping people. It just doesn't look like everybody else's pathway in nursing.
Right. And I get that a lot, like even like from my family members and stuff
Mhm,
like, "What hospital you working at?" or, "Oh, what you do, what you doing? Where you at? Oh, you're not using your nursing license?" And it's like, yeah, I am.
mhm.
I'm using it, but I'm using it how I'm using it. Like I'm not using it the traditional way. And so I do find myself like explaining that, and I feel like sometimes
Mhm.
I probably over explain that. So I'm glad you just brought that to the light too. Like, yeah, I'm helping. It's just not how you think I'm gonna help.
Yes, and I know that can be like daunting to have to explain every time you see a family member or every time you see someone who knows that you're a nurse and have to over and keep over explaining that, yeah, I'm a nurse, but I have my own business. And because they don't see your vision and they don't see how this is helping you, your family, and also the people that you're of service to, they often can like step on your dreams.
Mhm.
So talk about some of the challenges that you had when going into lashing.
So when I was starting out, I would say my biggest challenge was just being afraid, being
Mhm,
afraid that people wouldn't like my work or being afraid that, this isn't honestly like I wasn't expecting it to like go big, but I would say like I always did because I would always like over deliver with everything. Like as
mhm,
far as like website, business cards, like I always was telling people. So I guess I wanted it to be big, but I always like I was in nursing school, so I'm like, this is what I'm doing while I'm in school. And then once I finish school, like I'm gonna go into the hospital and this will just be, something I do on the side. I didn't think it would replace, or like, override me because I did have plans on like being a traditional nurse until I went to clinicals.
mhm.
I'm like,
And I was like,
"Oh,
"This is what it is?
right."
Oh, no." Especially that first one, because I think normally during the first, like, clinical rotation, they put you in the nursing home.
Mhm,
And so
mhm.
everybody is like, "I'm not wiping no butts." Like, "What do you
Yes,
mean?" But it was different for me because I was a residence aide, so I didn't have my CNA, but I did CNA work.
right.
So I was used to it while everybody else is like, "I'm not wiping no butt. What do you mean?" Like, I was like, "Okay, here we go again.
Mhm, mhm.
Here we go again."
And
And
honestly, it's not even I mean, I don't want a white butt, granted,
mhm,
but it was just so depressing for me, like, just being in the hospital. It would be uplifting talking to some of the people, but, like, I like the wellness side of nursing, like, like,
mhm.
just helping people stay well. It was just so depressing for me, like, seeing different cases, people losing I just I'm an empath, so
So
I be feeling
internalizing
it.
everybody's stuff.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
mhm.
I completely understand because I love that you said like you love to help people stay well as opposed to us like trying to rework their mindsets or like we're behind the eight ball on trying to get them healthy. They're here because they have an ailment and now we don't know which way they're going to go because we can give them all the tools, but if we're having a million conversations with them about diabetes and they don't truly understand it, or they haven't had medical professionals to be 100% honest and open with them about these things, now they are in positions to where they're getting their legs cut off, they're going blind, or they're having kidney failure. And so I think it's very important that we have people in place to help people stay healthy,
Mhm.
as opposed to always having people in place to help people once they are unhealthy. We have to have
Mhm.
both, but I don't think we
Right.
have a true balance.
Mhm. And I feel like everybody has their calling, you know?
Mhm.
Like the ones that are there, like they're supposed to be there, you know, and they do a great job. And everybody just has their calling.
Mm, girl, yes. And that that was just not one of yours.
Right.
So you are literally the definition of we can cut off the bedside. You just jump right into entrepreneurship. So what helped you gain your following?
Like, okay, so I moved to Atlanta. I didn't know nobody, right?
Mhm.
No one. So I would just like spend a lot of time on Instagram, following people, networking on Instagram, liking, like going through the different hashtags,
Mhm.
sending DMs for lash models. That's like really what grew my Instagram. It's just like being active on Instagram and Facebook too, like being active on there. Then once I had learned a little something, I started doing ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads. That was good. So I got some followers through that. But I would say about 75% are just, straight organic, just from me networking online.
Okay. So you have done lashes for Shakana Joe, and she is so funny. And Summer Walker, how did you navigate getting into those spaces?
Instagram. Summer, she had DM me
Mm.
asking was I available. I'm like, yep, I am. And oh my God,
Is it
this
really
is
you?
crazy.
Is it
Right.
spam?
Right. And she was like, I want this set. And she sent me a picture of a lash model's work that I had did. And I was like, yeah, I can do that for you. And sure enough, she sent me the address. She paid, let me take pictures. She was very pleasant. And then Shekinah, same thing. She DM'd me on Instagram asking was I available, and she actually came to my home base suite and got her lashes done twice. Like, yeah, it's just Instagram, like, and that's why I always be preaching, like, post the content, network on there, engage on there. Because I came to Atlanta, I didn't know anybody.
Mhm. Yes. So, when I look at you and your journey from nursing into entrepreneurship and how you networked and build your brand, I can say I'm extremely inspired by you, okay?
Thank you.
When I was going through and doing like sending people DMs to come on the podcast, you had already messaged me and I had never looked at it. And so that's how I know that you're like, you have some tenacity about you because you're just like sending the message, regardless of whether somebody's going to say yes, no, maybe, and stand you up. Like you send it and you keep moving because a no is even helpful because it allows you to propel yourself for the next yes.
Hmm.
So when I'm looking at your journey and you're saying that you want to, go back to school, how is that going to work for you? Because I know, like, for me and going back to school, it was now I'm making money. I never made this much money before. So how are you going to push yourself into going into school once you making your money, you doing your thing?
So are you saying like now? Okay. So with the Botox and the fillers, like it's more like a training type of thing. I wouldn't
Okay,
say it's
gotcha.
like, yeah, like school per se. So I feel like with that, it would just be like, okay, me switching gears. Okay, Rich Lash is Rich Lash, but like, am I gonna? I'm actually I'm not gonna create a new brand because I also have Rich Static,
Uh-huh.
which is it's an online learning hub that helps beauty entrepreneurs excel. So whether you're in lashes or hair, makeup, it's designed to teach you how to get business credit, how to get clients, how to start your own product line, create labels, everything that grow your following, everything that a beautypreneur would need right now.
Mhm.
So I believe when I do start the Botox and the lip fillers, it'll be underneath the umbrella of Rich Aesthetic because I do have a dream of opening a franchise of med spas.
Okay.
So yeah, like lashes is my first love and I love lashes. Like I love it. I love the transformation. I love how it could take someone from, this dull, not really feeling it type of energy to just confident, fearless, ready to take over the world. I love that. So I love lashes and I love teaching women how to make money and how to connect and build relationships, healthy relationships. I love that, like with themselves and with others. So I'm really excited for that. And I guess like just, the pivoting and how I'm going to, introduce that. I
Mhm.
think that's like really where I'm gonna have to focus on, and just like having the time to balance both because Rich Lash University is steadily growing.
Yes. Girl, I see you. And how is that feeling for you to see like your network growing and growing and you're reaching different heights now?
It feels really good. It does. It feels really good. Sometimes I have to because I put really big expectations on myself.
Mhm.
And so a lot of the time like I won't even realize like how good I'm doing because I'm like, "Oh, I got to do more. I got to do more. I got to do more." So I do feel like just when I'm in the space of gratitude and being
Mhm.
grateful, that's when I feel my best. That's when I like when it's just great. Everything's great. So it feels really good. And it's also like my plate is growing too, so
Mhm.
I do have more responsibility as well. But that in itself is good too cuz I'm helping more people.
Mhm.
So I love it. I love everything about it. Like
Oh,
I'm so glad I can wake up and do what I
what you
want
want
to
to do?
do.
And
Yeah.
see outside and go into cute spaces because when you're in the hospital, sometimes it can be like a little bit depressing because sometimes you don't see sunlight for a very long time. You may not see sunlight for 12 hours.
Right. And
Because
then you
I'm
get
in the
off.
OR, so it's like you have
Okay.
no windows.
Right. Right.
So it can be like you said, once you went into clinical and you saw how it would be, it was very depressing. And it's sad, but sometimes it's set up like some hospitals are set up in a way that makes people feel like they're boxed in.
Mhm.
So I just want to say, you do have to give yourself a pat on the back for all the things that you're doing, even outside of the seasons of just having gratitude, because you're doing so many things for so many people. How are you balancing your business, which is steadily growing, and being a mom?
I would say I'm balancing it well.
Mm-hmm.
I am. I just make sure to like include my kids. Like include them if I can. Like so if I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing like my packaging or something, like my son, he'll help me like do stuff with that. And then I also make sure to like take days where I'm just not working. Like, you know what, today I'm not gonna open my computer. Like we just took a cruise for a week. Didn't open my computer, and just
Mm-hmm.
fully invested my time into them, into like just, enjoying my family. So I just feel like you have to know like when to turn it off, and like have
Mhm.
that boundary. Like work revolves around life, not life revolves around work.
That's a word.
hmm and that's what I live by. Some days I will be up late working, on my computer, but I'm gonna make sure that we do everything we're supposed to do, dinner, story, tuck you in. That was the whole point of me being an entrepreneur, was so that I could have the freedom to do that. So I'm not going to, ever put that over mom. Mm-mm.
I love that. So I really, really can say that I'm inspired by this whole conversation that we just had. And I also can say that seeing your journey, which is unlike anybody else's that I've heard, um, is something for other people who are in nursing school to know that if you decide that you don't want to go into traditional nursing, it is okay. So you have utilized some nursing, like your nursing degree to a certain extent by doing your telehealth stuff
Mhm.
and then using that money to probably supply your business.
Mhm.
So, as we're wrapping up this episode, what are some of the things that you would give to new nurses students and advice that you would give to them on how to propel forward in entrepreneurship?
Okay. Are these new grads or students?
We can say new grads just
Okay.
because those are the people that they're having the hardest time with navigating where they're going to go next.
Mhm. Okay, so I would say, my business was already flourishing when I finished, but if
Mhm.
you want to jump into entrepreneurship, I would definitely say, like you don't have to sit and stack your money for a year and then start your business. There's things in place. You can get business credit, you can get funding, but it's all going to boil down to your mind, your mindset, do you believe that you can do it? Overcoming those limiting beliefs
Mhm.
and having the confidence, and believing like I'm gonna do this. That's gonna be number one. And then number two would be to, dedicate yourself to learning everything that you can, like dedicate yourself to learning, dedicate yourself to becoming the person that you want to, learn from or purchase from, becoming that person. Focus on that and master that. And then I would say, when you have done those things, then jump in, jump all in. Don't hesitate, because you're not going to get rich working for nobody else. And even if your goal is not to be rich, you'll never have the freedom
Mhm.
to live life on your terms working for someone else. And, there's always going to be a cap on your income. It's unlimited, the things you can do as an entrepreneur. Like you can grow really, like, and very quickly. It don't have to take a long time.
Look, girl, I wrote down a lot of things that you said. And so when I see that you have Rich Aesthetic, which is going to include your Botox fillers when you get your training and your certificate, and then you have Rich Lash, and then you have Rich Lash University. And then I saw that you're also having like you sell lash extensions as well. Am I correct?
Yep, products. I have all lash products for the clients and for the lash techs.
So in the description, you can send over your link to everything, and I'm going to put that in the description of the episode. But just seeing like your evolution, because this is the Evolved Nurse podcast, and you are the epitome of an evolved nurse.
Okay.
I
I love that. I love it.
it's just seeing you and seeing women in general being able to step out of fear into their power and still like continue to empower others by starting your network. Like, you don't even understand, okay? You don't understand the heights that you're going to reach. You've already reached some heights, but you're going to go even higher. And because you are of service to other people, it allows you to have a sense of empathy to help you grow and propel, because we see sometimes where people they get to a certain point and they're stagnant and they don't, they're of service to people but they're not actually helping others,
Mhm.
because we can be in the service industry and not help people. Like, we
Mhm.
do it because we can make the money, but we really
Money.
don't like doing it.
Mhm.
This
Yep.
it's not something we're passionate about, and it shows up in how you interact with your customers. It shows up in how you interact with people who talk to you. And since the first day that I've spoken to you, it's always been very, very nice, seamless, and I can say just watching your Instagram, seeing your content, and like saying, okay, she has something, like she's doing it. Cause I didn't know how big you were or how big your following had gotten, your university had gotten.
Mhm.
So for me to see like us just sitting here talking about how you have evolved, I can really say I truly appreciate you for coming on to this podcast. Is there anything that you want to add to this episode?
Yeah, so one last thing, I am having my 5-day lash mastery challenge and
Mm-hmm.
it's starting Monday. And it runs for 5 days and it's really a game changer. I would say for people who want to specifically go into lashes, but it has helped people who aren't even in the lash industry.
Mm-hmm.
And basically for 5 days we cover, from fear to freedom, the art of lashing, going from a stress mom to a boss mom,
Mm.
securing your first client, and the 500 plus per day blueprint. So basically it's just designed for you to unlock your dream lash career from home and make money and get clients within 14 days. So that starts Monday. And for the rest of this year, I'll be having one every month.
Okay.
So if anyone wants to join, even if you could come on, I would love that too. My goodness, I would love that.
Okay.
Yes. So I'll send you the information. The link is in my bio and I will, provide the link to you so you could drop it below. Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. And the challenge is so exciting. Over 1,500 people have joined since I
Oh
started doing it.
goodness.
It's really life changing. And next week will be very sentimental for me because I did lose my brothers over the last 2 years.
Okay.
Well, the last 3 years. 3 years
Sorry for
ago, I
your
lost.
loss.
Thank you. Yeah, I lost my brother in 2021 and I lost my other brother in 2022. And both of them in June, one day apart,
Mm.
the 26th, the 27th.
This is a hard month for you.
Yes. So I will be doing the challenge on those days next week. And that's just really special to me because they really believed in me
Mm-hmm.
and they supported me so much. And I just wish that they could see it now. But I know they can. Yeah, I know
I'm
they can,
agreed.
and I know they rooting for me.
And they are. And I feel like, grief is a very different thing. Because I just recently lost my dad. So I completely know what it feels like to lose people who are extremely supportive of you,
Mhm.
because that was my support system. So,
I'm sorry for you too.
girl, when I tell you, like, we have to remind ourselves daily that just because they're gone doesn't mean that they're gone. because they're still here. They're watching over us. They're helping guide us. Some of the decisions that we make would be in alignment with what they would be okay with. Like, we
Mhm.
are still operating in a space in which they are very much involved in our businesses, involved in our daily life, but it's hard to not have them here.
Mhm. And you are so right about that, cuz I can hear them sometimes, like, like, no, don't do that, or cuz my brother, he would always be like, leave my nephews alone, or you better take good care of my nephews. When I'm fussing at them, sometimes I'll think about him.
Mhm.
Like, okay, your Uncle Johnny would not want me, he would want me
And
to
he'll
calm
talk
down a
to
little
you.
bit.
Like, yes, and I really, really, because I'm going on a journey, like with therapy and stuff, so that I can be able to heal through the trauma of losing people in
Mhm.
general, because we don't know loss until we know loss. Because
Mhm.
we go through a lot of our lives like not losing people, and then we reach an age to where people are passing away. So how do we deal with that?
Mhm. Mhm.
But girl,
Yeah, we need a part 2, okay, girlie?
yes, yes. So if you have reached the end of this episode, thank you so much for listening. She has provided us with several resources that will allow us to become the best us. And so you all should definitely join her Lash Mastery class starting on Monday. And if you can't start on Monday, she is following up doing one every month. If you have any questions for the Evolve Nurse podcast, you can email them to theevolvenurse@gmail.com. And you can also come over to our Instagram at the Evolve Nurse. Follow us, and y'all have a great day.